So last week, I did something a bit stupid. I left Domain Hunter Gatherer running for a couple of days. Basically, I just forgot about it, and when I came back, this is what I saw. I'd found 90,000 expired domains, and the kicker is, each one of them has got a backlink from Wikipedia. Some of these domains even have stats so high that they look fake. Now I'm talking domain authority in the mid and high 50s, even above the 60 range. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I took that list of 90,000 expired domains and whittled it down to a handful of domains that I would want to buy. And I warn you now, some of these domains aren't quite what they appear. Some of them, even though they look great on the surface, aren't really that good underneath. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can take a huge list of domains and find the good ones from them. So this isn't a PBN video like my other more recent videos. This is purely about expired domains and finding ones that are quality and valuable. And this is where the Wikipedia part comes in. Making sure they have a baseline of at least one strong backlink shows that we're on a good starting point, but they don't guarantee quality. I'm going to walk you through my process today, step by step. So let's jump straight into it. Okay, here's the list. It's huge, 90,000 expired domains. And because it covers general topics, everything from science to charities to random local sites. So the first thing we're going to do is force the good ones to rise to the top and to get rid of all the ones that would be hard to resell. So my first filter will be the TLDs. I've added .com, .co.uk, org and .net. This is just so that I know that all of the domains are targeting at least English speaking sort of regions. We're going to add a maximum character length of 26 to ensure that the domains that are being returned haven't got these crazy long domain names that make it really hard to brand, because they're ultimately a lot harder to sell on the market. So if you're looking to flip the domain, then you're going to want to make sure that it's short, preferably only a couple of words. And then we're going to add a Moz Domain Authority and Majestic Trust Flow limits. For the domain authority, we're going to set this at 15 and the trust flow at 14. This just ensures that every one of them has a baseline of at least some level of credibility in the backlinks, as well as some power and value. Now that instantly takes us down to 775 domains. Now that's far more manageable. And then from here, what I'd like to do is sort by the domain authority or the trust flow, depending on which one it is that you most value. Now doing this allows us to see which of those domains have a really high value and also which ones have a similar level in the other one. So what you want is for your domain authority and trust flow to at least be in the same sort of region, so that you're not got, the situation where you're looking at a domain authority of say 60, but the trust flow is down in the dumps at say 4. That's a big red flag. You don't want that. You want them to be fairly similar. So sorting by domain authority, I can see there's already one with a domain authority of 58. But it only has a trust flow of 15, so that is quite a disparity there. So there may be something in its history. You see, a high domain authority is only impressive if the other stats are there to back it up. If the domain authority is sky high, but the trust flow is very weak, then that's a big sign of a disparity, and that might be the sign that something's happened to the domain in the past that makes it less than ideal now. So you might actually struggle to sell that, so be wary of that. Once I've got a few domains that look interesting, next I'm going to look to the Topical Trust Flow. So what I'm looking for here is topical trust flows that are similar in value, but also similar in topic. I want the niche relevancy to be there. So even though these are general domains that I'm looking at of various topics, what I want to see is where each of those trust flows are at least in the same topic, the same niche. Now here comes one of the most important parts, and that's actually checking into the history of the domain. Now it's very easy to do that with Domain Hunter Gatherer. It's right click, more stats, Wayback Machine, and that will take you to the actual listing for that domain, and then there you can open up a bunch of snapshots, and what you want to be seeing is that the content has stayed relatively consistent over the years. If it has had a huge shift from one topic to another, that's normally a bad sign. Okay, so if there's been big gaps between the snapshots, that normally means that the domain has been dropped and then picked up again by somebody else. What you need to make sure is that the content has stayed relevant. It doesn't necessarily matter so much that it's dropped and been brought back up again. What you want to make sure is that the content, or at least the topic of the content, has stayed the same. Now, unless you're specifically targeting adult content, you do not want any adult content on your pages. You don't want any gambling, pharmaceuticals, because these things are notoriously prone to receiving bans and suspensions in the search engine, things like that. So you definitely want to stay away from anything with those topics on. Next is the backlink profile. Because these domains have at least one link from the English part of Wikipedia, we know that it's got at least a half decent backlink in there. What we also want to see is other backlinks. We want to be making sure that none of the anchor texts are toxic, none of the sites linking to it are particularly toxic. For anchor text, you want to be making sure that there's lots of mentions of brand names, which would be the name of the website, you know, the branding, the domain name itself or the web page that is being linked to. And then you want some keywords, not an overabundance of them, but you do want some ideally. And you also want some generics, so things like click here, website, visit, read more. You know, links like that are very common on the web, so to see those in a backlink profile is normally good. What you don't want to see, you don't want to see irrelevant keywords in there. You want them all to be sort of within the relevancy or what I've previously said with the brand names and the generics. What you don't want to see is adult related keywords. You don't want to see lots of irrelevant keywords. You don't want to see adult terms unless you're targeting for these, obviously. And you definitely don't want to see lots and lots of foreign language backlinks, especially if they're in a different alphabet altogether. That can be really hard to get past. So you want to avoid that wherever possible. If you start seeing weird, irrelevant anchor text in there or spammy backlinks, just move on. There's really not a lot of point in trying to salvage a bad domain. Just start with a good domain. There's so many out there. You don't need to settle. Make sure you're starting with a good domain and stay away from these red flags wherever possible. Once you've found a domain that's passed all these checks, it's got good stats that you're interested in, preferably 20 or above in the trust flow and domain authority, but if it's niche relevant, you can bring that back down to about 15 and it'll still be worthwhile. But if you're looking to sell, you definitely want the stats to be around or above 20. Anything above 30 is generally good, providing the content's clean, the backlink profile is clean. Now you've got the domain that you're interested in, just go register it. Do not wait, don't delay, because while you're not registering it, somebody else could find it and then they can register it. Domains aren't that expensive in the grand scheme of things compared to the cost of hosting and content and all these other things. Domains aren't the biggest expense. You want to make sure that you are getting the domains when you find them. So that's the process. From a ridiculously huge list of 90,000 Wikipedia linked expired domains, we've filtered it down. We've got it down to a short list of 775. And then from that 775, we've sorted them, got the good ones to the top. We've looked through them, found some ones that we want, going to register them. And here I am registering a domain I found in that list. Check the description. We've got lots of useful links in there. We've got links to a whole PBN guide series. So if you're into expired domains, it's probably not a bad thing to go and check that now. All right, I'm going to stop talking now. If this has helped, hit like so YouTube actually shows it to other SEO nerds like us, and subscribe because I'll be doing more practical walkthroughs like this.